Deep inside limestone caves across Europe, Africa, and Asia, early humans left behind something remarkable: paintings. Horses caught mid-gallop, bison with humped shoulders, hands stenciled in red ochre, spirals and dots whose meaning we still debate. Some of these images are over 40,000 years old, made by torchlight in chambers so deep that no daylight ever reached them. The question that fascinates archaeologists isn't just how they did it, but why. Why would a species struggling to survive ice ages, predators, and scarcity spend precious time and firelight crawling into darkness to paint on stone? The answer, it turns out, tells us a lot about how the human mind itself was changing. Let's start with the obvious guess. Maybe it was simple decoration, or idle doodling by firelight. But the evidence argues against that. Cave art wasn't placed near living areas where people cooked and slept. It's often found in the hardest to reach parts of cave systems, requiring crawling through narrow passages, climbing, even swimming through flooded tunnels. That kind of effort suggests intention, not boredom. Researchers have also found that many painted chambers show natural acoustic properties, meaning sound echoes strangely in exactly the spots where paintings cluster. This has led some scientists to suspect these were not casual galleries, but special, perhaps sacred, spaces set apart from everyday life. One leading theory ties cave art to early spiritual or ritual practice. Many anthropologists compare it to shamanic traditions still practiced by some hunter-gatherer societies today, where a designated individual enters an altered state, often through rhythmic drumming, fasting, or controlled breathing, to seek visions or communicate with spirits believed to inhabit animals or the land. The deep, dark, disorienting environment of a cave may have been used deliberately to induce that trance-like state. Under this idea, painting an animal wasn't about art in our modern sense. It was closer to ritual, an attempt to capture or influence the power of that animal, perhaps to ensure a successful hunt or to mark a rite of passage. That connects to a second major theory, hunting magic. The animals most commonly painted, horses, bison, deer, woolly rhinos, mammoths, were also the primary food sources for many Ice Age communities. Some researchers argue that depicting a successful hunt or an animal pierced by symbolic markings may have functioned almost like a rehearsal or a wish, a way of mentally and spiritually preparing hunters before a dangerous expedition. Hunting massive Ice Age herbivores was extraordinarily risky, and psychological preparation mattered just as much as physical tools. Painting the hunt beforehand may have helped bond the group, build confidence, and pass down crucial knowledge about animal behavior to younger hunters. That brings us to a third, less mystical explanation: education and memory. Cave paintings often show extraordinary anatomical accuracy, correct musculature, seasonal coat changes, even the animal's gait captured in multiple overlapping leg positions, almost like early animation. This level of detail suggests careful, repeated observation passed down and reinforced through image making. In societies without writing, visual imagery may have served as a teaching tool, a way to encode and transmit vital survival knowledge: which animals were dangerous, which were prey, how they moved, when they migrated. In this view, the cave wall functioned a bit like a shared, permanent notebook for the whole community. There's also a simpler, often overlooked function: identity and belonging. Handprints appear alongside the animals in many caves, sometimes small enough to belong to children. Some researchers believe these marks served as a kind of signature, a way of saying, "I was here," or marking membership in a group. Symbols and patterns repeated across sites hundreds of miles apart suggest shared cultural knowledge, meaning these weren't isolated bands inventing art independently, but connected communities exchanging ideas, techniques, and perhaps stories. Art, in this sense, wasn't just about the animals depicted. It was about weaving individuals into a larger, recognizable culture that stretched beyond any single cave or campsite. What ties all these theories together is something deeper: the emergence of symbolic thought. To paint an animal is to hold an image in your mind, separate from the animal itself, and reproduce it using pigment on stone. That requires abstraction, planning, and shared meaning between the artist and whoever views the work later. Many cognitive scientists see this as strong evidence that by around 40,000 years ago, human minds were fully capable of complex symbolic communication, the same mental toolkit that would eventually give rise to language, mathematics, and eventually, writing. Cave art may be one of our earliest visible fingerprints of modern human cognitist. So why did ancient humans paint on cave walls? Probably not for just one reason. It was ritual and record-keeping, memory and magic, identity and imagination, all overlapping in dim, flickering torchlight. What's certain is that these artists weren't simply killing time. They were early humans grappling with the same impulses we still have today: to understand the world, to prepare for danger, to teach the next generation, and to leave some mark proving they existed. Tens of thousands of years later, their handprints remain pressed into stone, a quiet, permanent message reaching across an almost unimaginable stretch of time.